Okay, so you said the main issue in terms of the swing was as you went back, we were getting a lot of lateral movement and the lower half movement, legs getting quite collapsed there and moving a bit too much, the knee sort of moving in too far this way, the weight going on the outside of that right foot and just loss of stability basically. So trying to come back to the golf ball when you're not really sort of committed to the shot, and on the golf course that sort of consequence creates more anxiety because if the ball goes offline you go another shot and stuff. There's a result to take into consideration. Okay, so as a result of that now trying to move back to the golf ball, it's inconsistent if your head on the way back is moving a long way this way and a long way that way and also going up and down at the same time. So what we're trying to do is maintain that position over the ball. Now if you watch your takeaway, what you'll find, you'll stay quite steady for the first half, okay, then as sort of instinct takes over, there's a little bit more in. Now this feels like there's no movement at all. Okay? This is a change in swing. Okay, now, there's a lot less lower half movement. Okay, if we look at the two movements there in terms of how much your knee's going to cross and the foot slid over, it feels to you like you've probably moved your legs to about there. In reality, it's always small little amount. Okay? What feels to you probably 5, 6, 7 inches of change is actually probably about half an inch or an inch. Okay, but that in some ways is enough. We're not trying to change things massively, and too big a change, I mean, you'll miss the golf ball completely because the ball's only 2 inches big anyway. So if we make too big a movement from the top of the bat, that to me would be a sufficient enough lower half movement, okay? Because you're used to obviously going a little bit more as we get to the top of the backswing. It just goes back a little bit fun. Again, you do make quite a big shoulder turn, which in some ways is good. It creates a lot of power, but if you go back sometimes too far, too much of this movement creating it, you just lose stability. And the further you go back then to that point doesn't mean you get any more power, you're just losing control, really. So if we can reduce that lower half movement, you'll find your top half won't be able to go so far, but you'll still be creating the full resistance, therefore still getting the same power. It'll feel to you like you're swinging the club to about here somewhere. But over time, obviously, you get more used to that as we go back. And then from there, as we've got a more stable lower half, we can then hopefully try and reduce that amount of sort of top half slide this way. Once your head starts moving a bit too much this way to the left, it's then going to almost stop and then start rising up to get into position, You see what I'm trying to tuck up. But the main issue to focus on is get that lower half, get a little bit quieter. Ideally, that would be enough. So what we're going to try and do in the first half of the swing to about here, you shouldn't expect to see much leg action at all. The legs are just sort of stabilising. It's all from sort of above that green line going back, and the lower half then will just follow. So from the first movement now, arms and chest, and then the lower half will sort of kick in about here, Yours kicks in a smidgen early, and therefore goes a smidgen beyond. It's less than before, but we just move it. I mean, that's that sort of at 10 o'clock, that's now at 20 past 10, next day, it'll be slightly less. And again, small little changes for you are going to be more manageable. It feels to you a massive change, doesn't it, really? But it's tiny little changes.
It goes still.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of seeing it sometimes, because you can see yourself on the camera. If I said to you, are you doing a similar move? It's still better, there's a lot less movement going that way. But if I said to you you were changing this much, you think, you're still doing rubbish. But in reality, we can see. So at least from there now we can get back to the golf ball a little bit easier. It's a good strike of the ball as we can see, and we can then rotate through. And your balance is very good in terms of follow-through position as you go right the way through. What you might find now on some swings, when you're trying to make less movement going back, you won't actually get your lower half movement working through properly. Because in your mind, right, no legs going back, and then nothing, they just stick to the ground completely. So reduce that amount of lower half going back, stabilise the top half. It's top half going back, and then the lower half can drive on the way down. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good man, well done. Okay, have a couple more.